Good afternoon. My name is Tamara, and I am the owner of RuckWood Recovery LLC. RuckWood Recovery is an asset recovery and Heirfinder service licensed and registered in the state of Missouri with the sole purpose of assisting Missouri residents with tax foreclosure surplus and unclaimed property claims for unclaimed property held by your state treasury. All right, so the purpose of this video is to answer a couple of questions. And if you have any questions at the end of this video, please visit www.ruckwoodrecovery.com. Shoot us an email at ruckwoodrecovery@gmail.com or give us a call at 314-692-4272. Any one of our representatives are happy to answer any of your questions. Alrighty, so this question comes up a lot. And the question is, why use an Heirfinder when one can utilize an attorney? And I will give you the answer to that. So Heirfinders are number one reason is that Heirfinders are registered and licensed through the state, Missouri State, in this particular case, the state treasury, and a lot of other states do this too. They have a license and registration for Heirfinders, and specifically in some states it might be called a PI, in other states it might be called a locator, but here in Missouri we are called Heirfinders, and it is because they give us these lists, and I mean it's a list of millions of unclaimed property accounts and tax foreclosure surplus, specifically for the purpose of reaching out to those people who are owed the money in order to offer our assistance to them. We are given these lists. We specialize in it. We're also given the proper paperwork with our license and registrations. So, that being said, attorneys are prohibited by law from person-to-person solicitation. Therefore, they cannot reach out to anyone on that list via phone, email, or even approach them in person. They can't send out mail soliciting services. Therefore, it is really difficult for attorneys to even specialize in it because they can't reach out to folks. But Heirfinders have that authorization by the state and are given the lists specifically for the purpose of reaching out to those individuals. So that is the number one reason, all right? So the second reason is because we work on a contingent basis only. Unlike a lot of attorneys, and it's no offense to attorneys, unlike attorneys, many attorneys are going to charge an upfront fee, which either retainer or they're going to want something there to pay for the research, the document procurement, the notary fees, the services. It doesn't matter what they have to do, they're going to charge a fee. One thing about Heirfinders is that we are required by law to work on contingency for unclaimed property. And for RuckWood Recovery chooses to follow the same unclaimed property laws. For tax foreclosure surplus, we still work on contingency because we understand that when someone's going through a tax sale foreclosure, they're already having financial difficulties. So, which is why the real estate taxes weren't paid to begin with. So why would we even ask for any upfront fees or retainers or even an assignment? To us, it doesn't make sense. Therefore, we operate on contingency and we operate under the same guidelines for Missouri State Treasury. So we follow the same guidelines that the Missouri State Treasury gives us. They're two separate specialties. However, Heirfinders can do both. But for tax foreclosure surplus, they don't have to follow the same laws because it's a different statute than the unclaimed property laws. However, RuckWood Recovery chooses. When I started this business, I made a promise that the same laws would be followed for unclaimed property regarding contingency fees and regarding contingency fees and regarding the process. Still, I keep that promise. I make sure myself and all my representatives keep that promise to clients. All right. Another thing is that attorneys are really difficult to get a hold of. If you want help with tax sale foreclosure, surplus, or anything like that, you're going to have to go through. No one has the time. We understand that. Nobody has the time to go through the phone book and call a bunch of attorneys and see if they'll do it. So most of the time, if you call a law office, you're going to get the receptionist, and they're going to have to want to set the appointment with you. And or before you even set that consultation, you're going to have to do some talking and try to explain or even figure out if they do handle that type of thing. And most attorneys do not. So, and they don't deal with that directly. And I'll explain that later. I'll explain that a little bit later. But you're going to have to call and wait for that consultation, and many times you're not going to get that consultation for a couple of weeks because attorneys are very, in depth with their cases, which is understandable. Nothing against attorneys at all. So what we do is we keep we have local probate attorneys that we work with. I had recently saw something from somebody where they said a foreclosure attorney would handle surplus. That is a negative, unfortunately. Foreclosure attorneys usually are working for the investor, and or they're trying to help overturn the sale. So they're trying to help the homeowner overturn the sale before the surplus is even available to that homeowner. So Heirfinders and or a probate attorney would be a better option than a foreclosure attorney. That being said, instead of a claimant having to call around and even find an attorney who knows what tax foreclosure surplus is or knows anything about unclaimed property, what we do is we have attorneys that we use to get our clients through probate. And because we work on contingency only, meaning the claimant pays nothing throughout the entire claims process. We don't accept a retainer. We don't ask for a retainer. The client does not pay a dime throughout the entire process. We don't get paid until the client gets paid. So that means that we fund the entire process. Even if the claim has to go through probate and we have to get a heirship determination, we are going to fund that and pay that attorney directly to represent the claimant in that probate matter. And once we get the judgment, we add that to the claim and submit that full claim for the claimant. The claimant never, ever sees an invoice. They will never see a bill throughout the entire claims process. I don't care what it is that has to be done. Notary, vital records, doesn't matter. The claimant will never have to pay a dime throughout the entire process. So please just know that. All right. So there's open communication. Open communication, and we're so easy to get a hold of, and it's because we reach out to you. So our job specifically is to reach out to you. Like I said before, attorneys are prohibited by law from reaching out to people to solicit services, but Heirfinders, our job is to specifically reach out to folks and help them with the claim. One of the reasons is number 4. One of the reasons we're allowed to do that is number 4. It is because the Treasury, for unclaimed property, the Treasury gives us all the paperwork. They're not going to give that just to the claimant. They give it to Heirfinders. They give us the entire database. So what they do is they update the unclaimed property list for unclaimed property. They update the unclaimed property list twice a year. So make sure, and I'm going to tell people this, make sure that you check the unclaimed property website on mo.gov. Search your name at least twice a year. They update it at the beginning and the end of the year in September. So if you didn't see your name on unclaimed property or your, deceased individual in your family, if you didn't see their name at the beginning of the year, check again at the end of the year and see if it's there. But always check. I always advise people, check. Make sure your name, there could be money sitting there for you that you didn't know about, okay? So they give us the entire database, and we get a little bit more information than the general public is going to get online. So if you want to find out an exact dollar amount, an Heirfinder would be the way to go. If you're just curious, reach out to an Heirfinder. And so, like I said, we get that specifically to reach out to folks. We have the paperwork specifically to reach out to folks and file those claims efficiently, effectively, and properly. For tax foreclosure surplus, we audit the county and they give us the entire tax sale book, knowing that we are going to reach out to those individuals. The certificate of sale does not state, it states surplus, but it doesn't state specifically that the client, that person, that homeowner is entitled to the surplus. And so we Heirfinders, we reach out to the person and say, hey, it's our job to reach out to you and offer our assistance to help you claim that surplus. And you want to get that submitted properly. Many times, just like with unclaimed property, the original owner is deceased. And a lot of folks just don't have the funds to go through probate or pay an attorney up front for probate. So what we do is, like I said, we fund the entire process. Especially for tax foreclosure surplus, it's definitely needed because financial hardship was a reason for the foreclosure to begin with. Most of the time. Sometimes family just doesn't want to keep the house. It is what it is. But we just want to let you know that that's what we do. That is our purpose as Heirfinders. So, number one, all right, those 4 reasons. Number one, we are licensed and registered specifically to do what we do. We are given the list specifically for the purpose of reaching out to those individuals and offering our assistance. Number 2 is because we work on contingency only, and that way we don't get paid unless the claim is successful, right? A lot of folks can't afford to go through probate or afford all of the work it takes to put a claim together. Number 3, the open communication and the ease of access to your Heirfinder representative. And number 4, it is because we are given all the paperwork to file efficiently and effectively. All right, if you have any other questions, please visit our website at www.ruckwoodrecovery.com. Shoot us an email at ruckwoodrecovery@gmail.com and or give us a call 314-692-4272. Any one of our representatives is happy to answer the phone and answer any questions you may have. All right, y'all, take care.